We're done. We're going to see this. I'm not doing a handshake song. Lord, half the church is sick. I'm not letting you shake each other's hand. Y'all be wanting to hug each other's neck and stuff. I ain't letting y'all do that. I apologize for my voice. I apologize for those that are here that aren't normally here. And you're like, what kind of junky church is going on? My voice isn't normally like this, and we normally don't have half the church out sick. It's just sad. I know before we dismiss, I would like, we're not just dismiss right now, but before we dismiss, I want somebody to remind me. I want somebody to remind me we need to pray for Buddy. Buddy has a procedure tomorrow. As opposed to, depending on weather, travel-wise. But before we dismiss out of here, I'd like for us to pray for him and pray with his family. Because it's always dangerous for him to be in surgery. This is just pitiful. Can I just tell you, I got up yesterday and went to work, felt great, talked to my wife on the phone, she said, hey, you sound good. I said, yeah, I feel great. I sneezed 5 times, I haven't talked since. I don't know, man, it's just crazy. It's just stupid. And then I was in the office early this morning, and I feel like I didn't save what I've worked on for 2 weeks. And my computer, and I have Windows 10 because it upgraded, but I don't have my 7. So that's all right, I'll remember most of it. And so, but it just bugs me because I have all these sermons that I've preached for all these years, and I don't have this one. And it just bugs me. But I would like to cast a little bit of vision today for the next year. And I apologize for my voice. Please just listen through the voice and just listen to the words. I would like to just cast a little bit of vision for you guys this morning about what I'd like to see happen in this church in the next coming year. Very familiar passage of Scripture, Proverbs 29:18. You know what that is? Without a what, people what? I'm just going to throw that out there so you understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. Because if there's not a vision, you will perish. If there's not vision coming from our leadership, this church will perish. If you don't have a vision for what you're doing, then please resign. And please resign what you're doing. If you don't have a passion and a vision for it, please don't beat a dead horse. Amen? Just because I can't talk, I'm not going to say some stuff. Okay? I would like to thank God for Henley being home, and she's doing well, and I thank God for that because she's been, she's 17 days old, been in the hospital 14 of it or something like that, close to that. And I just thank God that she's doing well, and Brooke's doing fine, and I just thank God that God has touched her body. And for y'all right now, that's Brooke and Chad's youngest daughter, is Henley, and she's doing well, is what I was told, and so I'm glad she's doing well. And Grandma and Grandpa are doing good? All right. and I know I got some guff whenever, I guess we had Abby 19 years ago, and I said, hey, please don't go to the house and visit for right now. My wife's trying to get better, and and I had one lady in particular get upset with me. And I said, hey man, I don't want people sticking their finger in their mouth and stuff, Leave her alone. And so I don't want people to do that. You want to stick your own finger in your own mouth, you want to stick in some baby's mouth. I don't understand that. That's just sick to me. But anyway, so they're not here today. They're not here today because she just, I don't blame her. I wouldn't have got her out in the rain either. There's no way. I wouldn't have got her out in the hot. She'd have just been home. And so they'll be back as soon as they feel comfortable, and that's good. I'm just glad she's home and doing well. We went and saw her in the hospital, and man, she looked beautiful. She was just absolutely perfect. She's a beautiful little girl. And God has just blessed us, and we're going to build a church one way or the other. Amen. And somehow, some way, we'll fill this thing up. Amen. But I'm going to talk to you for just a minute. I'm sorry I didn't get sidetracked, but I saw Kim. I saw Kim, and I just wanted to share with you that Henley is home, and she's doing well, and I thank God for that. I just want to share with you just a little bit about the vision that God has placed in me, and I want to kind of cast a little vision. I'll probably do it better Wednesday or maybe next Sunday when I speak better. Next Sunday, for sure, I'll be speaking better. But I want you to get hold of what we're doing here. I want you to get a hold of what God has placed in our life to do. Vision is this. Vision is seeing. Vision is what, if you don't have any vision, you're what? Blind. And the blind lead the blind, where they end up? In the ditch. Now I know your scripture a little bit. If the blind lead the blind, they end up in the ditch. So somebody has to be able to see to lead somebody. And somebody has to be able to see what's coming in the future to lead somebody. Somebody has to be able to see something coming around the side and around the bend and say, listen, if we have got to do these things because God's asked us to do them for no other reason, but for God has said. And even when people don't agree, that's fine. Nobody has to agree with me all the time. That's okay. But that doesn't matter as long as I do what God has asked me to do, then I feel like I've done the right thing. I feel like that God has placed a vision in my spirit for this place, and it's time to move. It's time to get our stuff done. It's time to build what we're building and get on with it. It's been 3 years in February that I stood here behind this pulpit and I preached a message called "They Need a Place." It was 3 years in February. I stood right behind this pulpit and preached a sermon called "They Need a Place." It was about our youth needing a place to worship. It was about our youth needing a place to be. And it's about our youth. We have a place. We come in here and we have our church, and we have Christmas trees and we have all that stuff. And hallelujah, praise God. Thank God for Amy doing all that. She did a great job. But thank you, Amy, for doing all that stuff. But for me, I don't. That's fine. It's great. I love it. She did a fantastic job. But our youth, we borrow somebody else's church. Amen. They have to try to make it their own for that service. The church is good to us, and they've not said one thing about us using their facility. And yes, we pay them with a little bit of money. We haven't paid them much. We paid them a little bit. We probably haven't paid them near as much as we should have. But we paid them a little bit here and there to use their facility. It's time to change that. Amen. It's time for us to, if we're going to be serious about it, let's be serious about it. And this, I'm going to throw some numbers at you. You guys can just don't freak out on me. Look at your neighbor. Say, don't freak out. Oh, you're wrong, neighbor. Tell the other neighbor. Don't say it like I said it. Say it with conviction. Don't freak out. Okay? It's going to take about $500,000 to get started. We have about half of that. So in this year, we need to get that at $250,000. That's not too much to ask. It's not too much to ask. That's for us to get started on the whole thing. I want you to understand that. I don't want you to get weary and well-doing. I know you need to see cranes in the air. I know you need to see dirt being moved. I know that you need to see cement being poured. I know all that. But until we get the fight, listen, I'm not willing to put this church in financial jeopardy so you can see cranes in the air. Amen. I'm not willing to put this church in financial jeopardy so you can see some dirt being moved. Amen. I'm not willing. Listen, right now we are debt-free, totally 100% debt-free. We can do anything we want to do. Amen. Yes, that's right. But when you have a $6,000, $7,000 a month payment, how long does it take before you can't do anything you want to do? That's right. I understand that we have that coming in. That's not a big deal. God's more well able to do greater than that. That doesn't bother me. That doesn't scare me. But what does bother me is being a good steward and being a good steward of God's money. I wouldn't do it personally, so why would I do it? Okay, I'm just saying. And so for us, a vision, for me, a vision is being able to see what's coming down the road. And here's what's coming down the road. There's going to come a time when we're going to have to be that church that fulfills needs for people. And we have to have a place to fulfill those needs. And you're sitting in that place. That's right. Because this is just, right now, it's a sanctuary, but it can be converted into anything we need to be converted into. We have a kitchen to serve out of. We have all these things. And there's going to come a time in this United States when the church is going to have to be a church. And the Christians are going to have to be Christians. And we're going to have to either do it or shut up. And we either have to be what God's called us to be, or we need to shut up, shut our Bibles, and go do something else. Because we are either going to be what God's called us to be or not anything at all. God has called us to be a light into this world. But listen, you don't need light unless there's darkness. If there's not any darkness, why do you need light? When Tommy and I were in the Sea of Galilee and it was getting dark, the sun was going behind the mountains and the light shone on the Sea of Galilee, and the light reflected off the Sea of Galilee into the city on the hill. It spoke volumes to me, because the city on the hill just looked like any other city until it got dark. And then when the sun went behind the mountain and it got dark on that side of the mountain, and then the sun shone on the sea and reflected upon that mountain, then all of a sudden I get it. In the midst of your darkness, you need somebody to be what God's called you to be, and that's the city on the hill. So I believe that's who we are. That's what we are. It's a city on the hill that cannot be hidden. I believe we are the light of the world. I believe we're the salt of the earth. I believe we have got to be what God's called us to be. And so for us as a church, it's time to make that step forward. This next year, you're going to get tired of hearing this statement. Do everything with excellence. Do everything with excellence. From greeting people, to saying goodbye to people, to picking up on the floor, to preaching with excellence, to teaching with excellence, to singing with excellence, playing with excellence. No service is a time off. What do you mean by that? No service is, it's just Wednesday night. No services, there's not very many people here, so it's just, every service is to be exactly what we have, and that is excellence. We're supposed to be people who have excellence in doing what God has called us to do, and that is be excellent in whatever that He's asked us to do. I didn't say perfect, because there's nobody here that's going to do everything perfectly, but we can do things the best we know how to do with excellence. Listen, this past November, Sister Turner has been gone for 10 years. In January, Larry will be gone 10 years. In February, my brother will be gone 10 years. Your mom will be gone 10 years this March. February. Okay, I thought that was March. February. 10 years. Can I just share, this is how I look at things because I'm a little weird. One of the sad things to me is to watch their clothes go out of date. Go out of style. Sad. Sad thing to me is watch the technology that they had at the time. It was the greatest at the time. Now you wouldn't carry that cell phone if someone gave it to you. Because it's 10 years now. Larry didn't have one. But my brother Kenny had one. And it's still in his room. He had it in his chest of drawers. And I saw it the other day. I wouldn't carry that thing. But it was the top of the line at the time. But to see the things go out of date, go out of style. To see those things that are obsolete now, that at the time when they were living, they cherished those things. Their clothes they cherished, the way that they carried the cars they drove are now either gone or old. West Pine. Sister Turner's car, I still see it drive around. Got a clothes hanger keeping the trunk down. She would have had a fit. She would have a fit if she saw it because it's old. But that car's almost 20 years old now. Now think about it. The truck that Larry drove is in my driveway. My son has it. And it has a lot of things that need to be updated on it because it's old. It's 10 years older than when Larry had it. My brother's Dodge Dakota, I think Joey had it for a little while and they got rid of it because it had a cracked block or something in the engine. But who knows where it's at now. But it's obsolete, it doesn't even matter anymore. But that to me is the sad thing to watch, is when somebody dies, they're stuck in that time period and life goes on without them and they're still stuck in that time period and they'll always be that age. They never advance. So can I share with you, are we still reaching the generation 10 years ago? Or are we trying to reach the generation now? Because anything that is living has to evolve. Are we using outdated things to try to reach a generation 10 years now, advance further than it were 10 years ago? Can I share just a few things with you? My brother-in-law and sister-in-law I love very much. They left our Pentecostal church in Tecumseh. Denny left his dad's church, and it took a lot of guts for him to do that after a lot of deliberation. He just thought it was best for his family, and he's a grown man, and he has a family. And I said they're here, they're there with me, but he was now going to a church in Meeker called Morning Star Baptist Church. Morning Star Baptist Church, and they're going because of the teaching and the preaching that Denny likes, is the style that Denny likes, and they're going there. And we've lost that family out of a Pentecostal church. And listen, I know it's not about denomination. I could care less about your denomination, what you put on your door. That doesn't matter to me. You know, I don't get along real well with our district board sometimes because I could care less. I could care less about it. Oh, we're PCG. God, who cares? I thought we're all trying to get to the same place. No, we're all trying to get to the same heaven and serving the same God. So I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to take something from somebody else and use it. Amen. And so, but we've lost a family of 4 from one of our churches. Now, I don't know. That's just what Denny wanted to do, and how many? I love them. They can do what they want to do. Doesn't bother me. But how many more people are we going to lose because we're trying to reach a generation with old ways? Right. Okay. Amen. Come on. Hang on. We're still trying to reach a generation the way we did in the 70s. You hear me? Not all of it as the 70s. And listen, there's nothing wrong with having some of the stuff in the back. Listen, I thank God for the traditions and some of the raising I got, and I thank God for that. But some of it was not very good. I have a sister-in-law that still has heart feelings because she was told she was going to hell if she wore pants when she was a teenager. And it still bothers her. And she's 40, whatever years old. So I shared that. So some of it wasn't so good. And some of it was good. Listen, not everybody did the right things, and we didn't always say the right things. And listen, that's just what we're told. And said, they all got real quiet on me. Listen, she's not mad at nobody. He said, just bothered her. She's not mad at anybody. And so I just know that just sharing some things with you. Not everything we were taught was right. Listen, you can't be mean and hateful. And then tell people, touch not my anointed. What are you stupid? Just because you say that you're a minister of the gospel, don't mean you can be ugly and hateful to people and then say, well, you can't touch my anointed. Shut up. You can't be hateful to people. Oh, I just loved them in the heaven. No, you didn't. You beat them half to death, and they told them they had to be just like you, and nobody wanted to park their hair on the side, and nobody wanted to have white walls, and nobody wanted to have to wear black shoes and white socks and polyester pants. Nobody cared about that stuff. But that's what we were told. If you didn't look like me, you didn't act like me, you weren't like us, and you weren't Christian. Amen. Basically. I thank you, Joey. Unless you were here, I guess you grew up the same place I did. Nobody else grew up like that. But that's what I was taught. That's what I heard. Because anybody that came in with any hair longer than their collar were going to hell. That's back in the 70s. Everybody had hair longer than the collar. Platform shoes. I'm just saying. I've been here more than a day or two. Now all of a sudden, we're still trying to reach people with an outdated, antiquated system. Now I don't know about you. Listen, I do believe in preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ. Anybody that's been here longer than a day knows that I will preach about heaven. I will preach about hell. I will preach against sin, because we can't go to heaven living like hell. I'll agree with that. Amen. You can't look like the world, talk like the world, act like the world, say you're not of the world. Yes, you are. If you don't have anything inside of you any greater than that, then yes, you are like the world. I'm in the world, but I'm not of the world. This is not my home. I'm traveling through. I'm just trying to make it as best everybody else is trying to make it. Amen. But we've got to change our philosophy, the way we think about some things. We've got to reach out to the lost. And the lost, listen, the lost know they need help, or they wouldn't reach out. The lost know that. So we can't just say, well, you're a sorry old dog sinner. No, that make us any better than anybody else. We've got to reach out. Listen, dead things don't grow. Dead things don't grow. Dead things don't participate in the next generation. Other than, here's some things that they do. They leave an example. Dead people leave an example. Dead people leave their money. Dead people leave their property. And dead people leave the essentials for survival. Air, water, and shelter. When somebody dies, they don't take all the air out of the earth. They don't take all the water out of the earth. They don't take all the shelter away. But one thing they do is they leave their money. And more families have been torn apart because Mama and Daddy had a life, and they worked hard, and they had all these things, and they had a retirement, and they had a will, and all this stuff, and families have been torn apart because Mom and Daddy were stupid enough to leave their kids money. And so now they're fighting over money. But hear me. We have a privilege today of sitting in a church that none of us paid for. Because Mom and Daddy's money paid for it. How many were here? How many of you guys were here now? Brother Ken may have been here. I don't know. But how many were here when they had the mortgage burning? I've seen the picture. Were you here? Of this church? I don't know. I mean, that was in the 50s or early 60s. I don't know. I saw a picture of Tana posted a picture of it. And I thought, I wasn't there. But I get the benefits of somebody having a vision and paying for a place for me to worship. Amen. So, dead people who aren't even here anymore. Do you remember some of them? Brother Everett Hale. Brother Ford, he's not dead, but he's not here anymore. The Pharisees. Susie Foster. The Mac Hickmans. Sister Ham. Just people you can, Sister Welch, Sister Smithy. Just people you can roll up, and some of you guys don't have any idea what I'm talking about, that's okay. But these are people that I grew up with. They were old people when I was young. Now, Sister Ham was old. I don't remember not being old. And Sister Hickman was old. I don't remember her not being old. And so I just remember all these people, they were old when I was little. And hear me just a second. They paid a way for us to have a place to worship God. Not only financially, but they paid a price. Because Pentecostals were thought to be stupid, ignorant, retarded. Not having any sense at all. That's what they were thought of. God, those old holy rollers. That's what they were thought of. So we have all these things in our life. So they paid a way for us, their property. Listen, I'm sitting in the property that they built. I'm sitting in the property. Listen, it may not be as fancy as it once was in the 50s. If you've ever seen pictures, it wasn't very fancy. Okay? And we have property that I didn't pay for. We have property behind the church. We have property to the north of the church. We have property to the south of the church. I didn't pay for it. But somebody did. The property you're sitting in, somebody paid for. 8.5 acres out here, just a little south. I'm sorry, what is this way? Northeast, northwest, whatever it is. There's property northwest. I gotta get my bearings. Okay, gotta get my bearings. Northwest of here, 8.5 acres. We didn't pay a dime for. So somebody gave us property. Air. Somebody gave us air. What is that? Salvation. I can breathe. I can breathe. God gave me salvation. Listen, when somebody dies and goes to heaven, they don't just leave salvation and they don't just take salvation with them. They left it here for me. So I'm saved because they have the essentials of salvation. Number one, they didn't take Jesus with them. He's still here. Number two, they didn't take the shelter, which is my hope. They didn't take all the hope that Jesus is coming, and they didn't take the hope with them. They have hope. They had hope for a greater future and a brighter tomorrow. They had hope. They had hope that they were going to make heaven their home. They had faith and hope. They knew they were going to make it. And so when they passed away, that hope and faith did not go with them. They left it here as a tribute, as a testimony to us. If you'll live a life of God for God, look what God will do for you. There's shelter. I'm covered in the blood of Jesus Christ. They don't take the blood of Jesus Christ with them when they go. Their soul is covered, but the blood of Jesus Christ is still here today, that I can be saved, I can have hope, and I can have faith. I have the essentials of making my life a better life because of those men and those women who poured into me and poured into you. Listen, some of you don't remember this. We don't think about these things a lot of times, but do you remember, some of y'all weren't privileged to have Sunday school, but I grew up in Sunday school. But do you remember those ladies? There's always ladies. Always ladies trying to teach kids about Jesus. Guys were too busy. Okay? Do you remember those ladies taking you and teaching you about Jesus? Do you remember them telling you about Mary going to visit Elizabeth? And the baby leaping in Elizabeth's womb. And she began to be speaking other tongues. She was filled with the Holy. Do you remember that? Do you remember that lady taking this picture of Noah's Ark and you had to color your own? And while you thought you were coloring, she was telling you the story. And while you thought you were coloring, you were being told the story of Noah and how God moved upon him and how he had to save his family and save humanity from the flood. And we didn't understand at the time. It was a type and shadow of the church, how God is trying to take people and save them and get them through. We didn't understand that all we were trying to do was draw the giraffes and someone had the yellow and brown and I needed it. Do you remember? Do you remember having to learn about David and Goliath? And they would give you these little things to put on your head. They'd give you a little paper shield. They'd give you, strings like a sling. Do you remember? And you just thought it was something to get in trouble with, but they're trying to indoctrinate you and tell you and just make you understand that God is all powerful. And you learn the stories in Sunday school about how God can meet anything that you have and he can defeat any enemy you have. If you'll just trust him with a sling and a stone and a sword and a helmet, that you can do anything. Isn't it about to remember that? I didn't do that. I didn't pave that way. That way was paved for me. By people who have gone on before me. So I say all that to say this, and I'm running out of time and I'm running out of voice. I say all that to say this. That God himself has placed inside of us. And I'm not going to get to all the vision stuff today, I'm sorry. God has placed inside of us a directive. Here's the directive. Win the lost. Win the lost. Well, I don't know how to do that. It's time we learn how to win the lost. Amen. Sonny Carpenter, my old youth pastor, died last Sunday. 58 years old. I haven't talked to him in 25 years. I thought he was older than that. He always seemed like he was older than me. I was just scared of him. I just did whatever he told me to do. Okay. But I've never seen a guy be able to explain the gospel and touch somebody's heart quicker than that guy could. I never did understand how he could do it. But man, he could just do it. It was just nuts. He passed away. I don't know what happened. I know the obituary that David Sidney said for the last 2 years his failing health had caused him to have to stay with his mother. And I don't know what all happened there. I have any idea. But I do know this. Sonny Carpenter stepped into my life when I was a young teenager. And he showed me how to love people and to love God. Okay? So I will not discredit his stepping into my life by saying, oh, I'll just dismiss that, as that's just what happens. At a time when this place was going nuts, and we had, I don't know how many kids we had, teenagers we had, and young adults that we had that were just crazy on fire for God. There were services that we never even really got to do anything, but I played music and people just worshiped the Lord for hours upon hours. But that doesn't just happen. People like that just don't come into your life for no reason. So when he came into my life, I thought about this a lot, Joey, this week. When he came into my life, God deposited something inside of me that I didn't even know God was depositing. Almost like when you're coloring Noah's Ark and you're not really listening, but you are listening. Kind of when you don't really know that you're being taught a lesson and you're being taught a lesson. Kind of when somebody's spirit's being infused in yours and you don't even know what's happening, to where you do care about whether people die, go to hell or not. And it's not just a Christian thing. It's a thing of, I do care about what happens to people. Amen? Y'all awful quiet on me today. I'm trying to hear me, ain't you? But this morning I had planned to do a lot more of vision casting, but I just want to share a couple of things with you. Can I have the last 16 minutes? I'll try. It is time to move physically and spiritually. It's time for us to take the next step. We've come a long way since 2011. But we got a long way to go. It's time to take the next step physically and spiritually. The next step is God has blessed us. Now, I don't know what I'm going to have to do to get our youth facility, but they've got to have one. I'm tired of borrowing somebody else's church. Tired of it. There's no reason for it. We have the ability, we have the finances, we have the resources to do it. We need to do it. We just got to do it. I'm tired of having to apologize to my teenagers because they have to go up the street. I'm tired of chasing them all over the stinking place because it gets dark at 5 o'clock and I can't see where 2 girls and 2 guys go. Amen? And so we have to chase them around with a golf cart and flashlight and have Gary hurt them up. You know, it's crazy. And then eventually somebody's going to get hurt. And so it's stupid to do that. Listen, we're better than that. Dear God, church, we're better than that. We're better than having to borrow somebody else's. We're better than having to lease something. We're better than that. We have greater vision than that. We should have greater vision than that. Doesn't it bother you? Listen, it bothers me that I have to borrow somebody else's. I want my own. Does that make sense to anybody? I want God to be able to just use us in any capacity He needs to use us. I don't have to ask permission if I can play noodle hockey in there. I want them to be able to do what they need to do, decorate like they want to decorate it. I want them to do what they want to do. And listen, we have 3 other groups that need their own facility as well. So listen, I know you're sitting around here today going, oh, there's only like 110 people here. Listen, I understand that, but this is not normal. Amen? So it's making my stomach kind of hurt. I said all these empty spots making my stomach kind of hurt. But I just want to share with you a little bit. It's time for us to have our own because God said we could. And for no other reason because we can. Because God said we could. Amen? Listen, it's time to go to the next level. But we can't do that with our same old mentality of, well, but I'm Jeff. I don't care. But I'm Naoma. I don't care. It's time to step it up. Listen, Jeff and Naoma, if you want to be with us, then be with us. Amen. If you don't, then I love you. But I can't make exception for you. Oh, dear God. Come on. But don't you know who my grandparents, I don't care who your grandparents were, we love them and thank God for the building they built and the property they but I don't care who you are. I love you and I love your family. But just because what your last name is shouldn't hold any weight. So we've got to step up who we are and what we are. And we can't do that thinking about, yeah, that's good enough for them. But we've been here longer. I told you just because I couldn't talk to them, you're going to say something. I'm a little weary of it. Real weary of it. It's time to understand. Listen, the candy sacks, okay? I'll just let you know what we did the rest of them. No, I didn't give them mine. I didn't get one for myself. So don't say, okay, I didn't take any of them. We gave them away at the Heritage House Christmas morning. That's the senior citizens place. William and Millie gave them away. Because as soon as I didn't, hey, can I have 2 more of those? Hey, can I have 6 more of those? Hey, can I have 3 of those? You got more candy and nuts laying around your house now than you need? And I'm not saying you wouldn't do anything good with it. I'm not saying that. But all I'm saying is that's just an example. Please don't look at me like that. This is an example. Okay? It's just an example. It's like the stretchy pants. Example. People get mad at me about saying stuff about stretchy pants. It's just an example. Get over yourself. Dear God, man. And so, it's just an example though. Well, but I'm me. Yeah, I know you're you. I love you. But if this young lady in the black don't know your name, if she can't have one, then you can't either. And not, listen, if she don't get mad, what is this girl's name? Brianna. If Brianna don't get mad, then why do you?
That's right. No.
Just ask. Just accent. Brianna knows the rules. She didn't get one for Pookie in there. All right, anyway. I'll leave. And I don't care if Pookie didn't get one. Please understand that. I'm going to explain Pookie in there. I understand. But here's the deal. Gird up your loins like a man. Joe, remember? We've got to go forward, and I'm sorry, I do apologize one more time for my voice, and I apologize that I couldn't preach just like it deserves to be preached. But understand me, if we are to do what God's called us to do, then we have got to stop hanging out with our dead people and go 10 years in the future and understand where we're headed. Amen. I'm trying to reach a generation. I can't reach a generation just hanging on to the old clothes 10 years ago. Hanging on to the old cell phone from 10 years ago. I looked at my brother's television. I wouldn't have that thing in my house. It was the top TV that he could buy at the time when he bought it, probably 15 years ago now. But I wouldn't have that thing, and I wouldn't play video games on it. It is sitting in this room in a time capsule. It's just sitting there. Getting old. The remote's getting old. I wouldn't have it. I just sit there and I thought, I don't know, a couple days ago I was at my mom's house and trying to help her get some stuff done. I just opened it up and I was just looking. His razors are still in the medicine thing. Whatever it's called. That's it. Medicine thing work too. Okay, they're still there. Never been opened. But it's still there. Not worth a flip. His electric razor, I don't know if it still works. I have no idea. But it's in this time capsule of 10 years ago. So are we still in a time capsule? Or are we going to go forward and do what God's called us to do? I asked Juanita in the gym, I said, would you be mad if I covered up the border? She said, Lord, no, it's all. That's what she told me. Because I was afraid I didn't want to offend them. They worked hard on that. And I remember when they spent hours and hours on the border and then the hallway and all that stuff. And they spent hours here doing that stuff. And I didn't want to offend anybody. But she said, Lord, it's old. They did it in 1999. Was it 99? I think it was 99. Because we've gone to 80. So it's 99. She said, Lord, no. Wouldn't bother her a bit. Because I wanted to put some feelers out there, you know. Because if it wasn't for Juanita, I don't know what I'd do. She does so much stuff that nobody knows anything about. I just love her, and I appreciate her and Jim. Oh, well, he didn't brag on me? You know, right? Jimmy Deckers is the peanut brittle selling guy, man.
Amen.
I love him too. Hey. We're going to be, I'm done. I can't talk anymore. Please, if you're, come back. It gets better. I promise. I promise. Listen. The vision for this next year is excellence. Everything with excellence. Excellence. That doesn't mean perfection. This means the best we can do. And when we learn how to do it that good, that means you can learn from that and do it better. Amen. How many of you guys drive? How many of you guys drive better now than you did when you were 16? Did you learn something? Have you learned anything in the last 30 years about how to drive? Then we should learn some stuff about how to drive and what to do about a church. We should learn from our past, not mistakes, but our past successes, and learn, hey, if we can do it that good, we can do it this good. If we can do it like that, then I know we can make it multiply and do it like that. Don't look at your failures, look at your successes. What was successful? When it's successful, you can build off of that as well. Not just failures, but success. Build off of that. Listen, we've been very successful here. We've been very successful so far. So if we can just take a minute and look at what we did to get to where we're at and build off that success and take it forward. Boy, y'all quiet. Ain't nobody saying nothing to me. If we can take it and build off of that and see where we need to go and understand where we need to go, it's time for the church to move forward. I'm ready. I'm ready to step into that water and watch that Jordan River split in half. I'm ready. I've been in that water. It's cold. I'm ready to see the Jordan River split in half and walk across on dry ground. I'm ready for the priest to take the Ark of the Covenant to the edge, to the brink. I think we've been at the brink long enough. It's time to step into the water. I'll get more specific on it next time. Before we're dismissed, I don't ever do this, but I want to ask your opinion. Weather-wise, what do you want to do?